Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, afternoon, technically. Ladies and gentlemen. Yay, good start. Welcome to Bibliomancy for Beginners. Somewhat weekly book club that we do. There's only 3 of us. There's no Rachel. But that's alright. It'll be great. It'll be great. It's fine. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. Starting with Gretchen.
Hello, everybody. I am Gretchen from the blog My Life is a Notebook. I am going to London in 20 days for this semester, and I finally got my plane ticket, finally got my visa, so I'm getting really excited. So if I just all of a sudden just start going London, 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 that's fine. Also, even though she's not here today, general PSA that Rachel and I are now engaged. She bought me a ring and everything. So I fixed the universal men are terrible problem by marrying my best friend. So yay!
There you go. That's one way to do it. Hey guys.
This is one way.
I'm Michaela. I'm the reason that this episode is a little bit late. I had my wisdom teeth out on Monday, so my face hurts. But at least I can open my mouth again. Tuesday I was talking with my lips barely separating because moving my face hurt so bad. So bad. So it's better than that. Can talk. I'm going to be eating normal food again today. Woo. That'll be good. That's it for me.
I'm Taylor. I'm out in the wilderness today because my house is full of people. And that's why I'm going to be spending this entire video to find a camera angle where my eyes are not ominous black pits. So
that's fine. You can just be deep, Taylor. It's fine.
That's what's new with me.
Alrighty. For today, we read The Falconer by Elizabeth May, which was Gretchen's pick for the month.
You know where to send the complaints.
You shut up!
It was terrible, Gretchen.
Oh, no.
You know it.
Shut up.
Oh, no. For those of you who haven't read the book, I'm going to read the Goodreads description. I read it at the end of last episode, but I'll read it again now. Edinburgh, Scotland, 1844.
Going there.
She's going there. 1844 version, Edinburgh, Scotland, Gretchen?
Not going there.
Okay.
Sloppily done. Our alternate history, 1844 Edinburgh?
Not going there either.
Oh, but we're all going there.
There's more to the description than that. Lady Elena Cameron, the only daughter of the Marquess of Douglas, was destined for a life carefully planned around Edinburgh's social events right up until a fairy killed her mother. Now it's the 1844 winter season, and Elena slaughters fairies in secret in between the endless round of parties, tea, and balls. Armed with modified percussion pistols and explosives, she sheds her aristocratic facade every night to go hunting. She's determined to track down the fairy who murdered her mother and to destroy any who prey on humans in the city's many dark alleyways. But the balance between high society and her private war is a delicate one, and as the Fae infiltrate the ballroom and Elena's father returns home, she has decisions to make. How much is she willing to lose, and just how far will Elena go for revenge? I'm going to let everybody do a spoiler-free impression so you know what we thought and whether it's worth it to go read the book before we get into discussing things in detail. Gretchen?
Okay, so I'm going to be the only one with anything vaguely nice to say. I know that already.
Really?
Yes.
You're going that far.
Yeah.
You have something vaguely nice to say about this?
Yes.
Or is it just not vaguely negative in that specific context?
Okay, you know what? I have been in a terrible reading slump. I took one look at Rachel's pick and I was just my head exploded like a watermelon and I was just like, I'm done. I can't read. I quit forever. And one thing about this book is that it's very easy reading. The problem becomes in when you start questioning anything that happens ever. No. But I did like the idea behind the book. I wish that it had been executed better. But I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I liked it. It was a fun little ride that made me laugh for all the wrong reasons, but I liked it, and I don't care how much Taylor's gonna huff and puff at me.
I would agree. It's an easy read.
Yes.
An easy read does generally connotate, it's vaguely entertaining or pleasant. This was uncomfortable to read. So I will not say it's an easy read.
Oh. Do you just want to give is that all you're going to say? Just continue.
No, you should go on.
You want me to go? Okay.
You should have your turn.
All right. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I mean, I was able to get through it, which was more than I could say for Rachel's pick last week. But I had issues. there were things that bothered me. So I'm going to leave it at that. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't all that good either. So, read with caution.
Don't buy. Don't spend the money.
Don't spend the money. Maybe get it from a library if you want to read it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not saying get it illegally. Get it from a library.
Get it from a library. Okay, Taylor.
This was bad. Okay. You know what, Gretchen? I have something vaguely nice to say about it, too.
Oh, really?
Yes. Elizabeth May has accomplished the base necessity of writing in that she has described things and they have created a coherent image in my head.
Good.
She could describe an order of events, and I knew someone was being punched, someone was being rolled across the floor, and, however badly it was written, however bland and unoriginal it was, I understood the English language to be what it was.
It was in English.
So, good job, Elizabeth May.
Taylor didn't like it, so he would say no, don't read it, right?
True.
Okay. I'm now going to give a disclaimer and say that we're going to be talking about the events and characters of the book in detail. If you don't want to be spoiled, you should go away. If you don't care about reading it, you should stay and listen to the arguments that are going to happen, because there probably are going to be arguments.
Mm-hmm. Also, is my lower third backwards?
No. It's
okay,
normal.
just for me then.
You're
okay,
fine.
go on.
You're fine.
As you were.
There might be swearing. We don't know. There's no Rachel, so it's questionable. Okay, I guess we should start with our favorite parts, which will be Gretchen's favorite part, and that's it.
I
Gretchen
mean...
favorite part.
I don't...
Nope. No favorite
okay,
part.
No, you know what? Wait, I do have a favorite part. It is anything connected to Derek's character. This is betraying my answer to favorite character as well, because I extremely enjoyed the drunk pixie. That was good. He made me giggle like a 2-year-old, and I don't care. I see you huffing and puffing. Just turning your head to the side
There was
nothing for
nothing
me.
original about this character, and it's not even like, oh, we've seen, like, oh my god, it's a carbon copy of a pixie in the Actually, this whole book, like, plot-wise, it bears a striking resemblance to a Dresden Files story arc, but that's beside the point, because it lacks everything interesting about the Dresden Files. So, moving on.
You know what? I don't come to books anymore for originality. I read too much YA. I have read the same contemporary romance 25 times, and some of them I like, and some of them I don't, depending on how well they do it. This book wasn't done well in many respects. However, Derek made me giggle, and that's all I asked him to do. Just seriously, move the mic farther away from your mouth. I hear the huffing.
It saves time for me. I don't have to respond to all of your comments and waste time in the video if I can just huff. So I think it's important to leave the microphone here.
Can you change your name from Taylor Greenwood to Huff the Magic Dragon? Just do that for me.
Flawless. Okay. I guess for me, I will say that my favorite part is the fact that there's legit fairies in this book. Fairies are one of my favorite things when it comes to books, when it's done legit fairies, like UK, Irish, Scottish lore fairies that are fucking badass, mysterious, gonna shank you in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. I love that. This is not my favorite fairy book ever, but fairies. That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, I would agree. I like English and, Irish fairies. We did, Gretchen and I did a report on it last year. We were very...
Oh, we did.
We did. We had a great time with that. They're very interesting. I don't think this actually did anything, interesting about fairies. I forgot that, the main fairy dude wasn't a vampire most of the time.
Insert any mildly dangerous mythical creature here.
Yeah, there wasn't anything interesting or fairy-ish except, I guess Derek was a pixie. He was, in fact, a pixie. Apart from that, they talked about the Wild Hunt once, and, our main character, Eliana, I think is her name. She, talks about how that was a thing. I'm not really sure where she learned that was a thing, because, who's gonna be telling her? Yeah, they also, almost wiped everything out 1,000 years ago. They almost wiped out, Thistle 1,000 years ago. They almost wiped out birds 1,000 years ago, because birds are dangerous, guys. Birds are a serious threat to
They
fairies.
used to be dinosaurs, Taylor, my god!
But just falcons. Out of everything on Earth, falcons, can see fairies.
I like to think that there's just a crow and a falcon sitting next to each other, and the falcon goes, "Hey, bro, do you see that thing over there?" And the crow's just like, "What?" No?
Yeah, so falcons did something right, I guess, or something wrong, so now they can see fairies. And that thistle, that stupid thistle is the only thing that evolved over millennia to see a fairy.
Oh, come on.
How did that gene get passed on? I don't know.
Fairy genes. Yep. Okay. Least favorite parts / rants. Taylor, you're going last. Keep quiet.
Huff.
So, okay, I'm just gonna pick one, because since Taylor is going on the end, he will pick the other 97 that he has picked out.
Yeah.
Well, 98, because you guys have, 199.
So I will say, the characters were I was just how? How? Eliana is I hate everything. Just want to stabby stab, stab, stab.
Gonna talk about my dead mom on every page.
Yep, talk about my dead
Every
mom.
page.
Every page.
And Gavin is just kind of like, yeah, cool.
Stuff.
That's really what I wasn't really sure what his characterization was supposed to be because he didn't really have anything.
No. And then you just have Kiaran, who is just like brood, brood, stab, stab, brood, brood.
Yeah, God.
And then you just have Derek, who is just like, everything is so uninteresting. I just want to be drunk.
Yep.
And that's how my lower third got to be, you know, drunk on honey, because I feel like if I had been drunk as much as Derek the Pixie for most of this book, something might have become interesting.
Or you could have at least drunk away the sorrows of being part of it.
Drinking game with this book. Take a shot every time Elena mentions her dead mother.
Take a shot every time you predict something 30 pages before it happens. Like the entire plot structure and love triangle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, don't even, oh, no,
She
don't even get me, no.
Catherine has a brother. I'm like, oh, there's the other one.
Hold on. That was my rant. I was about to say that my rant was that this had a Twilight-esque love triangle where there were two that were obviously going to get together, and then the third that was just there to maybe trick somebody who had nothing to do with anything. The other two didn't like that one, and he was like, no, I'm going to win her. And she was just like, nah.
You can't be a part of this world, he screams.
Exactly.
His hair swept over an eye.
No, here's what she did. Like, she read Twilight, and she was like, okay, I'm going to give him more of a fighting chance by making them marry each other. That'll trick everybody.
No. No.
That lasted all of 4 chapters, which is about as many pages. Oh my god, the chapter breaks in this book. I think that's my rant.
Okay.
Like, everything else I could get beyond, but every other chapter was a dramatic chapter break. And it just wore me down because there are 70 chapters in this book.
Mm-hmm.
That made me laugh because that is what I tend to do when I write novels.
You're like, 3 pages, new chapter.
Yeah, and they're like, really dramatic moment, must break chapter here. I mean, granted, I haven't written a novel in about 3 years, but...
Chapters? They were like 2 pages each. We couldn't get anywhere. They'd make it shorter, though, because there would just be entire, like, you know, every other page had, like, 3 words on it, so that worked for me.
Every other page. Oh, no. Okay. Do we want to talk about favorite characters?
Derek!
I don't think anyone has anything better than that.
No.
No.
That's it. That's about it, guys. There you go.
Yep. Although this would be a good time to bring up, so the dance where she brings Derek along, how obviously forced did that feel to you guys? Because he had absolutely no reason to be there, and she's like, I didn't bring any of my weapons because, like, I Derek, so, you know, it seemed reasonable and everything, like, all the hellhounds just attacked, so I'll have to go get that stuff.
Okay, here's my follow-up question to that. Is there any plot point in this book that didn't feel forced to you? Because someone find me one. At times I was like, was this a nano no one edited? Because she was just like, stuck, need my words by the end of November. Hellhounds!
You know, I was kind of surprised that, like, Catherine actually left. Like, oh, I guess that sorted itself out.
So that, you say, wasn't forced. That was...
No, it was totally forced. It was just like, oh, that was simpler than I imagined it would be.
This resolved itself quickly.
Oh, God, but her mother was, like, the worst attempt at a straw man. It was so transparent, like, let's have like the most evil woman possible because she just makes fun of everything this main character does. Storms into her house like, how dare you not address me? Or how dare you talk to me in your own household after I ignore you? I'm like, okay, guys. Clearly we're not supposed to like her.
And then her dad, who's just like, grumble, grumble, shows up, get married, leaves, right in time, right before the big major battle, and I was like, yeah, that was necessary.
Thanks, Dad.
Worthwhile. Great parenting.
The random bits of Scottish slang that she would throw in. Like, I and Bairn being her favorite. She really liked Bairn.
Oh, Bairn. You're such a Bairn.
I mean, I was curious, so I just opened up the back of the book, because I was like, is this like an American person trying to pretend to write a Scottish person? And she was in fact born in California, but she moved to Scotland and now lives in Edinburgh. So,
Well, we're not saying, this is still a historical novel and she only used like 3 words. And I'm not saying she shouldn't have used those words, but they were very clearly the words she knew.
I like that
She
made
wanted
it
us to
seem
know
like
that.
this was hardcore Sam I Am. That, like, the entire novel is 3 words repeated over and over again. With I and Bairn being 2 of them.
I almost feel like I was the reoccurring joke, because she would always say I to Catherine's mother. She's like, you mean yes. And everyone just has a good guffaw when reading.
Oh, no.
except we say that though, and then I love it because I'm not sure like how you guys read this, but I obviously have the hardcover that I'm holding.
I had an ebook.
I had an ebook.
And in the back, you have, in fact, the bestiary glossary.
Yep.
Which makes you think that there were more words used in it than there were.
Yeah, I read a page of that, but I'd already finished the novel, so I saw no reason to keep reading it.
You're like, I'm done.
I mean, clearly she went through the effort of, like, I'm sure it would be interesting if this were a good book, because she has, like, those kind of character interactions in the glossary.
Yeah.
But, this was poorly written and boring, so I didn't bother.
Yep.
No regrets.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I'm just, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, while we're talking about this, like, considering that most of the other questions that we have for books usually have, like, no point because, like, setting, huh?
Yeah, it's a setting, great. No, here we can really, dissect the nature of this very interesting setting.
The setting. All right.
Because I really thought that it was going to be historical until she was, like, flying in the air on an invention she had built herself, and I was like, wait, is this supposed to be steampunk? Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't get that from the first page when she was seeding the nature of the steampunk by having a steam-powered juice dispenser? Because I noticed how very obviously she was trying to make this steampunk. And I also noticed how she went through no further effort to actually explain why this world was steampunk than simply she wanted guns, and she wanted her main character to apparently be a brilliant mechanic, even though, like, apparently she tinkered with things with her mom, and that qualifies her to build, like, the most difficult flying device that only a few people in Europe could apparently make. So...
No, honestly, like,
steampunk.
when I was reading the first page, I was just like, is this some really convoluted way of trying to explain a medieval device? I am confused. I was so confused.
Yeah.
I was not, but, because the reason for my segue to that was the end of this book. The end.
That's your setting? That's your setting issue you want to get into? I mean, I'm all for getting into it. It just seems like a transition.
I use setting as an example of the reason that I have totally derailed Michaela's topic of questions here.
Okay.
It's fine.
I just jumped on that.
It's fine. All I was going to say about setting was that I'm not particularly fond of steampunk as a genre of setting. I like steampunk as an aesthetic of like weird nichey clothes, like top hats with like gears and shit on. I'm like, that's cool. Goggles with that's cool. I don't want to read a book where somebody makes everything steam powered. I just don't.
See, between the two, I'm more in favor of the book because I know I like steampunk design in theory, but like when it's a top hat with gears on it, it's a little silly.
Oh, that's why I love it.
But what I'm getting to is that, if your world is steampunk, you can't just say, I want it steampunk so I can have guns and have ball gowns at the same time. It's like, you actually need to address why this is a thing and how it impacts society, and that's not something she did she didn't even try to do it. She didn't even say like, oh yeah, there's totally an explanation for that. Like she does at several points in there, like, oh, that's totally not a thing we can do because reasons. Stop asking questions. This is just, yeah, it's a thing. I have a plane and a gun. Hush.
I mean, I've yet to see, and I know there are some books, or I mean, I haven't read them, because I know YA steampunk is a little bit of a different animal, because I've talked to people about like difference between steampunk and people trying to write YA steampunk, as there usually is. There's a little bit of a difference in the way people tend to attack the setting part. But like I've heard that there are good YA steampunks. I have yet to read one.
I've read one a long time ago, and the only reason it was good was because airship pirates. That was the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, I am really fed up with steampunk for the reasons I mentioned before. So, however, I have seen good examples. One being Charlie Priest writes several books.
Yeah.
Bone Shaker being one, Ganymede being another, and they're just really interesting and well fleshed out things while being exciting and fun. Kind of action novels. She had a steampunk, like dystopian Seattle zombie book, and those are all things I don't like in novels, and she did it very well.
Yeah, I mean, I just like if I had known, if I had known from the get-go that this book was steampunk, I mean, I like steampunk as a concept. I also like looking at the clothes because I think they're quite interesting, but I don't generally tend to gravitate towards steampunk books. I thought this was going to be historical fiction. That's what I had signed on for, and then it wasn't, and I was really sad.
You punched your ticket, and it was not a good place to be.
No.
Nope.
Not that, removing the steampunk element would have made this book any better, but,
I'd have made it a little more consistent, actually.
Yeah.
You would have had to deal with other, things than shooting thistle lightning bullets at people. Which probably would have done a lot for this book.
Pew, pew, pew.
All of a sudden, she's just kind of like, I'm going to make a bomb, and she blows up half a bridge. And that's just, like, that doesn't...
And then she makes, like, a sonic, like, explosive cannon, like, overnight, just, for the climax of this book, so,
you know.
And then all of a sudden, the fact that, like, she's such a great mechanic, he's like, yeah, this is part of the Falconer thing, because you have to be a really great mechanic to fix this gate, and oh, by the way, your mother, who didn't know you were a falconer, she was a falconer, taught you the stars, because the stars are the intricate part of this machinery, and so, ta-da, everything is magically fitting together for this one moment right here.
Yeah, that was like I didn't even consider, I forgot he said that, because that's really convenient that after, 2,000 years of a dormant bloodline where no one knew about this, those handy tools would just be passed along. How about that?
Along. Recessive genes in a way.
What a crazy random happenstance.
I would love to read a book where, like, people having passed along certain stories was tantamount to, like, the climax of a book, and then, like, everybody's like, wait, we don't know how to do this. Because somebody got lazy way back, like, 200 years ago. That would be best.
Exactly.
Best.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about how this book ended? Because I would like to talk
Yes, I
about
think
how
this is a good
book
time to do
ended.
that. And I
Or
think you
how this
guys
book
should lead
did
the
not
charge on this
end.
one.
Yeah, it was like here. I want to have this be a cliffhanger so that maybe there's a sequel and you'll read that. Except for rather than doing what normal cliffhangers are and introducing some other element that you want to get resolved, we'll just
Yeah.
not resolve.
So you like
Climax.
finish the Krytag's pyramid, and then there's a complication.
Yes. But no, climax and bookends. Not even climax ends bookends. Climax middle bookends. Bad.
Yeah. Gretchen?
Bad.
I just opened this up to the back page, and like I don't. I mean, like I said, my early writing style was very much like this: short chapters, and I was like, I always have to have a dramatic break at the end. But at the same time, 12-year-old Gretchen knew not to end a book like that.
How
To,
did
not end in the middle of a climax.
I know, and like I know, again, it is more of a trend of YA books. I have seen a couple of them try and do this when there's another one coming. It tends to be books that are trilogies. This one is supposed to be a trilogy. She sold the trilogy and they're all coming out. And it's like when books that should be one or maybe two books are three
Or not at
because
all.
they have to be. Yeah, shut up.
Or not at all. Oh no.
Because like I don't understand. I don't understand how you think. It's like she was literally like, okay, I've hit 350 pages. This is the general size for, or whatever this is, for a YA book people will read, so I'm going to stop here.
Yeah, I was discussing this with my dad, and that's pretty much the exact conclusion we came to. Because it follows the exact pattern of all of her previous chapters, of like, this is the dramatic moment to cut it, and she just didn't realize that was the end of the book, so she, shipped it off, and, that was that.
Yeah. It's
Didn't worry
similar
about
to
finishing, 'cause
yeah. It's similar to the issue that we had with the Innocent Mage, except for the Innocent Mage didn't get to the climax, question mark? There was a resolution of a subplot arc in that book.
it just threw in a lot of things because it realized it needed more. So it was rushed, very, very rushed and abrupt and random. But I think it, kind of tried to resolve things.
It resolved small plot points.
Yeah.
But the overarching plot that we were expecting this book to have, it never even got to that point. This book got to that point and then decided to stop, which I think is worse. Because I think I would rather read the second book to the Innocent Mage than another one of these.
Oh yeah, I would. And it was longer.
Yeah.
No. What distresses me most of all is that an editor and then a publisher and the entire publishing community was like, yeah, okay, we'll sell this. This is a completely appropriate way to end the story.
The only
Sorry, go ahead.
The only book I think that had a worse ending than this one was the book that I read out loud last year to you guys with Vampire Angel, I'm your father, and then done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. That was for free on Amazon online.
That was for free on Amazon, though, so...
At least publishers had, that standard of, here's a good place for it. We'll just put it right over there on the fridge.
Is Amazon now the virtual fridge for books? You tried.
Free on Amazon online. Yes, that is the fridge.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
I totally had something I wanted to talk about. Does anyone else? I'm blanking.
I can't think
I
of
don't.
anything else.
I don't know. This book just makes me angry in general for YA because I feel like there are a lot of books that I've read with good premises and, good parts to them. And if, an editor had just decided to be, I mean, maybe not this one, but, just a little bit more strict about, like, no, go back, fix these characters, fix plot. Like, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad concept.
I mean, it's sound in theory.
Mm.
It's not like the most original or it's not the most interesting thing, but it's definitely sound in theory.
I mean,
So
and then
then,
again, for YA, that's what I mean, though. People just, like, lower these expectations or something for YA books
do you
and don't
People
understand.
will buy it.
do you think that that's because the publisher is saying, oh, the people who are going to be reading this are 13, 14, 15-year-olds. They don't have the same standards of writing that an adult would have. They won't care, so we don't have to put in the time and effort? Or do you think it's a matter of when people are writing for young adult, they're writing it dumbed down in a way? Dumbed
No,
down into cliches, I guess.
I'd say the former.
The publishers and the editors are the ones who are like, I don't care.
They're like, this will sell, and we can just churn it out.
Yeah, because YA is the biggest cash crop for publishers right now. In an age where publishing is having problems of its own in sales, in all this stuff, and for YA, this is the best place they can do the most, like, interactive marketing that they can get into. It's one of the bigger, and it makes money, and I think it's like anything else. If you can make money off a product that you haven't put as much time into, why not?
The only argument I have with that, then, though, is that while I know young adult, 13, 14, 15-year-olds are reading young adult, most of the people who are talking about and publicizing young adult are people our age or slightly older. They're kids in college who got into reading at some point in their life, either like with Harry Potter early on, or even some people that I follow blogs were talking about how Twilight got them into reading, and like that didn't come out until like 2006-ish when we were in middle school. So
yeah,
when it's our age who are picking up both YA books and adult books and comparing them and going, YA a lot of the times is more willing to be like adventure, happy, exciting books / sappy romance books, and adult books pay more attention on the literary side in a way, plus they have sex and stuff. And I want both of these things, but there's nothing in the middle, so I'm going to read both of them on either side. Why can't we find more of a middle ground of good writing, exciting plot?
That's what I mean. I just, and I think there is that in YA. It just
inundated and everything else.
Yeah, because like their publishers are so willing to push out so many more of these books that than they are for regular fiction. Regular fiction, they're like, I need to make sure this is going to be a winner, whereas YA, they're like, I have these titles that I know are good, I have these titles that are good enough, just go. Make me money.
Last time I went to Barnes & Noble, and I went in upstairs to where the teen section used to be, they moved it because they made it like 5 stacks larger to accommodate the sheer amount of copycat books that are coming out now.
Oh, God.
The sheer amount of, like, here are the vampire paranormal romance books for teenagers with, like, 50 Twilight clones, and here are the post-apocalyptic books with zombies, and here are the, whatever, all of these clones of things that were popular, and I don't understand it. Because you can't see that in adult books. That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
There's like a genre that gets overplayed, but other than that, there isn't like legit obvious clones. doesn't
Again, I
make
think it goes
sense.
back to, why people do imitations of popular products. They're like, here's an imitation you can, buy for less, or if you want more books like this. I don't think, you know, because obviously it the writing and the books that they're pushing out, like, we're sitting here talking about how terrible this book is. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's
Like
not
it's something
necessarily,
original.
yeah, it's not
Like
necessarily, the
being terrible
people,
is new, rather.
yeah, the people
Go on.
deciding to publish these books are not the people reading them. They are the people looking at like the amount of money that Twilight made, that Divergent made, that the Hunger Games made, and saying, if we can catch onto this, like, this tailwind, some of this money is going to come to us, because people, there are going to be people wanting more of those books but not being able to get it in that storyline, so they'll get it elsewhere looking for that kind of a thing. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't think is necessarily the point. I think it's that they're literally just looking at, like, money and figures and saying, we want to be, they want to be the next Harry Potter. They want to be the next Divergent because they want that money stack.
But they're
And they
not
have proof.
publishing anything new.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing I would say is that, if I remember correctly, me at 14 was willing to read anything and everything in the paranormal romance genre,
Yeah.
up to a point. Like, if I didn't like the way the book was written, I wouldn't read anymore. But, like, I would pick it up if it was in that section of the store, just because I knew that I liked that story, if that makes sense. Like, I liked the idea of hot werewolf guy and witch lady falling in love. I was totally cool with that. I was like, yes, this is the best. I don't care who wrote this, but it's got to be the best. So maybe teenagers do and or are more willing to take anything if it's similar to something that they enjoy, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
they'll
I mean,
read all those clones, even if they're
Makes
not
perfect
as
sense.
good. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same problem Hollywood is having right now. I just saw a article go out, Hollywood's having its worst year, like its worst 5 years or something in its history. And everyone commenting on it was like, yeah, because they're still using the same old formulas, and it's taken us 5 years, but you know what, we're all done now. Please give us a different movie.
The only place I would say that's different is in the indie movie field, where
Well, yeah.
everything is flawless. Why isn't this blockbusters? What is happening? And it's because they don't have the marketing that the rest of the movies have.
Like, the indie film industry is the equivalent to, like, the literary fiction thing. They're like, okay, let's try to do something new, or just,
And it will be flawless before it goes out.
And sometimes it won't be. Sometimes it'll be terrible, but that's fine, because at least they're trying.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I'm excited for that film that's 3 films from different perspectives. Have you heard of that? Audience, have you heard of that? There's, I don't remember the name of it. There's a film that's coming out with John McAvoy and somebody else mildly famous in it, where it was edited 3 different ways, from the girl's point of view, from the guy's point of view, and then a mixture of both. For people who feel like they're not getting the whole story from the mixture of both thing, you can pick a character that you like and watch what happened to them when we were watching the other guy, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So 3 films coming out to get the complete story, and I was like, this is genius. I love it. Give me more. I'm excited.
It's going to be exciting.
Film nerd Michaela, that's all I got for you.
The world is an exciting place when you're not reading The Falconer. I'm sorry, that's a pretty low blow.
Let's, I guess, shout out our social media and talk about next week.
So, again, I'm Gretchen. I do blog about quality YA, and I rant when I don't. At My Life is a Notebook, adkwriter15.wordpress.com. I have a Tumblr, a Facebook, a Twitter, a Goodreads. Basically, the key is usually a DK Writer 15 when not my name or my life is a notebook.
Type it into Google and work down the list.
Yep.
Everything is linked to everything else somewhere.
Down below, everything is linked for you, because I'm sweet like that. For me, I blog about books, both YA and adult. I also blog about K-pop music on Sundays. Yay. I have a Tumblr that's Ravens in the Night Sky that has reblogs of GIFs of pretty Korean boys. And I have a Twitter at Pied Piper Calls. And I recently got an ask.fm. So if you want to ask me things anonymously, that's also in the description. You know. Things.
I'm Taylor. I didn't mention at the beginning of this video, I forgot, that I was no longer, nor have I been for like the last 20 minutes, I was drinking Lapsang Souchong tea. And it was good. And I was happy. And my Twitter is ET Greenwood. Yes. Yep. One E, it's not ET Greenwood. Twitter.
You're confusing everyone.
ET, tweet home.
I do tweet stuff.
He does tweet stuff. I've been trying to
complain about this book. I just had all my tweets for like the last 5 days have just been about this book and how much I hate it.
I'm gonna have to look those up. I didn't watch them go by because I don't check my Twitter feed ever. So.
You know, I think that might have been, actually, that's something I didn't talk about in the video. She always talked about tasting the fairies. It got creepy. Like, tasting their power is not an unfamiliar thing in, like, fiction. But she went over that line, you know, just kept doing it.
Where you just then had the mental image of her, like, walking up to a person and licking their cheek.
Exactly.
And being like,
It was weird.
Fairy.
Weird.
Don't lick any fairies, folks.
And with that...
Yep, I think we should leave. I think that's it. No, wait, next week. Next week. Taylor's pick, Martian Chronicles, Bradbury.
And it's amazing.
Litfic. / sci-fic.
Like, classic sci-fi. It was written in the 50s. It's in, you know, public domain now, so anyone can read it online, and it is beautiful and amazing, and coming out of the Falconer, it's so refreshing.
Taylor's excited.
I am. And on that note...
We'll go.
Yes. Is that waving?
Yep.
Okay.
Annyeong!